What is up, everybody? Emperor Freed here, recording a video. By the title, you probably already know what this is about, but it's just basically the coaches I've had in the past and my experience with each of them. So yeah, let's get started. To send no hate to these coaches, I'm gonna just speak pretty truthfully about the service I got, and then post service if I asked them questions or anything and how that worked out. So starting with Impala, I got Impala coaching right after he won BCX. I hadn't gotten coached in a few months. Prior to that, I had godly coaching, but I was like, all right, time. I'm like kind of slow on the game. Maybe I can get my eyes open to how to play better. And overall, I think his coaching was pretty good. I have the entire VOD recorded, which is something I started doing later on when I started getting coaching, because you're paying all this money and they're like showing you stuff in the video, like in the VOD. You might as well just record it, and then you have it forever and you can use it whenever. But Impala coaching, $30 an hour. It was through PayPal. Most of these are through PayPal. Actually, I think majority of them through PayPal, and then some of them through Metafy. And yeah, I got his coaching. It helped me understand some stuff in the game better, which is good. Mostly stuff about neutral, since that was the majority of what he covered. And by now I had already gotten 2600 when I got his coaching. So the level improvement was kind of hard to gauge, but I think I improved quite a bit since getting his coaching. And I learned some really obscure combos that actually work, because prior to this, my mentality going into the game was that I had to flowchart everybody. And if you watch my older videos, you can see that I have like flowcharts and everything. But he basically explained to me like, no, you don't want to flowchart anyone. You kind of just want to think about the game, like based on every interaction as like a build up into one big interaction, kind of. I think that's what I took away from it. But you don't necessarily want to like, oh, if this goes like this, you do this, because people play different. And if you try to flowchart everyone, you're not gonna be able to keep up, basically, because no one can keep up, because that's like mental gymnastics right there. But I think that's what I learned from him. It was $30. He's a really good player. I think he helped me a bit, at least from whatever mental block I had going on during the time. And yeah, I'd definitely recommend him. Next on the list, we have Wrenched. So I got Wrenched coaching because basically I knew that he beat Sandstorm in 2019 with Lin Fei. I think it was either Lin Fei or a Surrey, and I was like, okay, this guy is at minimum as good as Sandstorm, because he beat Sandstorm in tournament and he did all this. And at the time I was like low diamond, maybe 2100 or 2000, and this is what I was peaking at the end of the season. Prior to that, I had some other coaching, but I think that I bought it. It says $35 there, because I got him twice, and it was $35 an hour, but that's what his current rates are. Before, his rates were a lot cheaper. I know I only paid like $11 or something like that for an hour of his time, which was a steal at the time. And it probably still is if you can get him for $11, because he's like a fountain of knowledge. Wrenched is a very good player at the game. He knows so many mechanics. He's like one of those players that can essentially stop playing the game for months, come back, and do just as good as he was doing before. And I don't think many players can do that. What I covered during the coaching, if I remember well, was essentially like different ways I could approach people with guns. I remember guns was a pretty heavy part of the way what he covered during the coaching. I think that gauntlets was kind of like slept on. Some stuff in gauntlets was covered. I know he went into for at least a little bit, and this is so long ago, but he went in at least a little bit how you're supposed to look at people in situations. It was like really, really early on, so he kind of did the Impala thing, and obviously I understood it when Impala said it, but when Wrench said it, I was like 2100. I didn't understand what it meant by pressuring somebody in certain situations. Like if you see that they're actually scared of you, what you should actually do. I didn't know anything about that because I was 2100. I was like throwing moves at people and hoping they would work. But he told me stuff like that, and that went over my head. I remember it now because I'm like, yeah, that was pretty profound at the time. And other than that, I think another reason I got him was because I struggled heavily in the Qatar matchup. I was so bad at it, and Wrench at the time was the best Qatar player. He probably still is the best Qatar's player in the game, and I don't know who else would beat him, but he was able to like essentially just 1v1 me enough times where I ended up learning the matchup, and he gave me tips along the way how to do the matchup. I'm just now remembering, right? So I'll do this for Wrench real quick, and then I'll talk about Impala a little bit more. But after I got the sessions, like after I got 2 hours all at once, right? Because that's how I usually do my coaching. I try to get the most amount of time all at once. And after I got my session, I ended up like asking him questions, a bunch of stuff about the game, like just because I didn't understand stuff at the time. Like even after the whole like coaching process, there's some stuff I still didn't understand. Like I'd play a game and I wouldn't understand how something worked, and he'd just go in and tell me, oh, this is how that goes. And so even after the coaching was done, I was still getting coached, which was really cool. And yeah, those are some choice words I have for Wrench. He's a really cool person, even outside of coaching. And even to this day, I don't see him as someone who's like negative in the Brawlhalla community, even though he might have some Twitter takes, which are kind of funny. So yeah, that's Wrenched. I'd recommend. For Impala, going back, so post tourney, post coaching, there was some stuff I asked Impala just in some situations I didn't know how to manage. I know that at the time I had a really big mental block against Lance, and I asked him some questions about how to deal with Lance, and essentially he just like told me straight up, this is how you have to manage against that weapon, what moves to look out for. And with that, obviously I'm appreciative that he actually did stuff like post coaching, and that was good. With trying to think, in regards to that, he was pretty quick, he was prompt. I think I'll like tell most people about this. All the people on this list, they essentially they got back to me pretty quick on if I asked them a question, usually within like a day. It wasn't really that much of a problem. And they just basically tell me what I needed to know, and like what I was doing wrong in certain situations, how to deal with it, at least in the post game. And for that, I appreciate it, but I'll go in depth once I get to each one of them. There's only really one of them that I had an issue with, and that's Mr. at the bottom here, but I'll get to that when I get to that. Next is Cody Travis. So Cody opened his coaching literally for like a month, and at the time he was just winning all the tournaments. It was strong like 2019, mid 2019, and he just had a hot streak. He won, I think, every seasonal of the year minus Winters. I think Winters was the only one he didn't win. Maybe Pugsy won that, or Boomy, and he was just on an absolute tear. And I wanted to improve my guns since I thought that was like a really bad like point in my gameplay, since everyone else basically that I got coached with, because they basically explained how I should be playing gauntlets. This was, I think, before Wrenched. It was either before Wrenched or maybe right after Wrenched, and I just needed more advice on how to play my weapons. I was at the time also low 2100, maybe 23 at max, and that was with the Odilo system. But yeah, I wasn't that good. I was playing a lot though. I was playing so much at the time. I would log in, like my Steam report would say like a nice 120 hours in the last 2 weeks. Like this is the most I was playing the game by far when I was getting coaching by Wrench and Cody Travis. But the coaching was about guns. I did not record this VOD because at the time I wasn't in the zone of recording VODs. But he basically went over how you should approach with guns in certain situations and into certain weapons. I think he covered a lot of the weapon matchups that I was having trouble with at the time. Notably was Qatar's, like I was saying. I even had to get coaching from Wrench because of Qatar's. That weapon was just a big mental block for me. He covered Qatar's, bow, orb even, and gauntlets, and how to deal with those weapons, because at the time I wasn't really worried about the other weapons. because I didn't have to fight them as much. I don't know if the meta was in that, but gauntlets are always in the meta, and orb was like almost brand new. It had just, I think Petra had just dropped, or Thor, so there was definitely people playing the character. And yeah, I got the first session of coaching was for 1v1s, and the second one was for twos. I got it right away, 2 hours, and kind of just banged it out. I'd say Cody was a really good coach. He was quite well at describing situations, and he had videos and everything prepped, which is something not a lot of people had. Um, some people went into detail with videos, but I think I say some people, but really it was only one or two people that actually showed videos that I can see on this list, outside of Cody, that actually really helped me in how to deal with it. There's also the whole thing about replays reviews. With Wrenched, I think I did a replay review, and maybe with Impala I also did. It was only one, because by now, at least with Impala, it was Impala and Godly, who I'll get to in a sec. I really wasn't, like, once you get to a certain amount of elo, you stop watching your replays, and I had always been bad with watching replays because I just found it the most boring thing ever. I didn't like watching Brawlhalla gameplay. I like playing the game, so I'd much rather lock in and keep playing a shit, like, language. I'm demonetized now, but I'd rather play a bunch of games and just go off of that than, watch my replays, even though watching your replays is a good thing. Sometimes I'd watch my replays if I was like getting bodied hard, but you don't learn anything from getting 3-stuck, in my opinion. And thankfully, not too many people 3-stuck me anymore. But back then, I was getting bodied by really good players, obviously trying to climb. But yeah, Cody Travis, if he ever opens his coaching back up, I'd probably buy it. I think he's an extraordinary player, especially in twos. He's so good at twos. He knows a lot of situations and how to manage them. And that's what I really got away from that was that he was able to show me with videos how to handle things. This was before his blasters got and everything, so he didn't even have that stuff. He just showed me how I should be approaching and thinking about situations, which was something I wasn't doing at the time. Again, mindless playing, mindlessly throwing out moves. I wasn't thinking about how I should go about game by game, how to think about the game and how it's pacing, right? And obviously, I didn't understand it all because I wasn't at their level yet. And I really only started understanding it once I got coaching by like Impala and Godly, and that's just because I had played the game for so much at that point. But yeah, Cody Travis, definitely recommend. Good post game, and yeah, on to Godly. So Godly, I ended up getting his coaching. I think it was 2 months before BCX. I had it in my mind that I was gonna get coaching from him, like a bunch of coaching sessions, because he was just he was on the ball, and due to some other reasons I didn't want to get coaching from Luna, who was the other person on my list. But Godly was basically, he won every tournament in EU. The only one he didn't win, so this was before Summers. I remember now, it was before Summers since he hadn't lost a tournament. But he was winning everything. The guy was just on fire. I'm like, this guy clearly knows something that I don't, and I have to see what I can learn about with him. And so I got his coaching. Another thing is, I don't particularly mind coaching. Obviously the prices, it can go from person to person, and I don't think you should go out and spend a bunch of money on coaching. This is like over the course of 4 years that I've gotten coached by 8 people, but it is what it is. And so going back to Godly, he had been playing Cross already, and so he had that character specificness to him that I needed. During this time, I had this mental gap that Cross was garbage, and in ones, and I could not play him to save my life. That there was no point in playing him, and I should just pick up a character like Mordex or Nyx or some other character that was just better, right? That's what I thought. And obviously now I don't really I don't see Cross like that. I know that any character can win in this game, and I've been knowing that, and my mind just wants to make excuses, but I've gotten over it, and I think that's really important as a player. I still make excuses. I'm not immune to making excuses, but I definitely notice now that I try to make less excuses and do that in person. But yeah, one sec, I'm gonna drink water. Gotta stay hydrated. All right, it's like a talk show. It's It's a pretty long amount of time to go over all these people. I'm sitting at 15 minutes already. But yeah, Godly basically showed me how to play my character in and out. I had been playing Cross by now 1,400 hours, 1,400 hours. All right, and there was still some stuff I didn't know how to play. Obviously, he knew how to use guns way better than me. He was already queuing NA players, playing Cross into people like Java and winning and like Radish, and I was like, okay, there's something here I'm doing wrong, or how to approach situations for my character that I just don't know how to do, right? Even with all the hours. I really had this, like, my mental plan of playing Cross was really skewed to, like, different characters that it would not work, all right? It was like, imagine if I was playing Cross, like, how I need to, like, play, like, Lucy and guns. Like, it's not close at all, and I just didn't understand that. But he definitely helped me understand how to play my character, and for that, I definitely approved. I think that's really what he helped me on. For post game, he helped me in understanding certain matchups. He's really aggressive with the coaching, like getting to you. He's a really cool and chill dude, but I mean, like, this might seem like a bad thing to people, but it was like 2 a.m. and he was like, "Free, let's do the coaching now. All right, it's game time. We gotta get to the coaching." And I was like, "Bro, I'm like in bed. I'm about to go to sleep." He's like, "No, Free, we gotta do the coaching. All right, we gotta get on the ball. You gotta get on top of it." And that was a different energy I never felt before, so I thought that was really cool. But we ended up doing it the next day because I gotta sleep. And at the time, I was with my parents, and my parents, I don't play video games at night at my parents' house because they have to sleep. They go to work at like 3 a.m., and then I'm just like, I'm not going to do that to them. But yeah, Godly, definitely cool. Post-game, post-coaching, he answered a bunch of my questions. All right, he gave me that positive feedback whenever I did anything good in the game, and he explained why I was doing stuff bad. And I think that's important. Some coaches don't give positive feedback to the players. They're like, "This is what you're doing wrong. This is what you're doing wrong. This is what you're doing wrong." All right, and it's understandable. All right, if you're like not a high elo player, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, and that's all right. You gotta obviously work on that. And if you just try to play it off like, "Oh, he did one thing good," but then he like all these other mistakes, we're just gonna brush them off. Like that's the improvement is just not gonna come. You gotta be hard on people sometimes, and so that's understandable. There's a coach here that's specifically really adept at doing that, and I'll get to him after I finish Simba. So yeah, that was Golly. Recommend him. Really good coach. Simba. So Simba was actually the first coach I ever had. Hence why it says free. Basically, when I had started playing the game, my goal, and I've said this before in other videos, was to beat Sandstorm. It was like really like the goal came about because I like knew who Sandstorm was because of Geometry Dash. I'm like, this guy right here, if he can start playing Brawlhalla and like win a whole tournament with all this money, I can obviously start doing it. And so that's what I did, right? And I'm in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna play this game 3 months. I'm gonna be just as good as Sandstorm. That did not happen. All right, it took me 3 years, but that's not the important part because. All right. In any case, back to the Simba coaching. I basically looked for a coach immediately upon playing. I think I was gold, and I'm like, I need to get a coach. And at the time, obviously, passive play was looked down upon. Like this was like 2019's type shit. And if you were playing passive, people were like, all right, you're bad at the game. And I didn't understand that like. You have to play passive in this game. Big pause. No, but it's definitely something you have to learn how to do. And I didn't know anything about this game, right? I knew Simba was placing in tournaments. I knew that he was a good player. And I asked so many people for coaching. Oh, my Lord. I asked Boomy. I asked Sandstorm himself. I asked Wilson. He had won a tournament. And literally all these people I asked. And none of them got back to me except for Simba. And Simba wanted a gift card at the time. And I was like, all right, I also asked Costlix because he was like a content creator. But I never ended up getting coaching from Costlix because he just played Lance. I didn't think I could get anything from it. But yeah, I finally ended up with Simba, and I didn't even pay him. What happened was I joined his clan and his Discord. I'm still in it. It used to be called Goat Gods, his clan. And I just ended up playing with him a bunch. And he'd like just tell me stuff. It was like basically coaching like that. I'm like, I'm gold. I don't know what to do. He's like, well, first of all, you need to learn how to count your jumps and your options. I'm like, bro, you're doing this without thinking. And he's like, yeah. And I didn't understand that at the time, but I think the main thing I took away was just I learned a lot of stuff early on that probably you shouldn't have learned early on. That like, maybe you had to build up some game knowledge. Maybe it helped me to improve at the rate I did, cause I ended up going from like gold to diamond in my second season of playing. So like only like 90 days. And at the time, I think that was really fast improvement, but it was definitely like, I think some of the stuff like concepts in this game, a new player is obviously not gonna understand unless they really have like that drive. Even if they do, actually, it's gonna be hard to understand something, especially if it's your first fighting game. I know for me, this was pretty much my first fighting game. I had played Smash, but like I wasn't playing competitively. I played the last time I had played a fighting game, it was Mortal Kombat. Before then, and Mortal Kombat again, I played with my like friends, my IRLs. None of us were good at the game. All right, I had no idea what putting in practice, reading people. I didn't know on any of that stuff. So getting told all these terms were like Simba, like you gotta read people. All right, you gotta know when to dodge. You can't be doing the same dodge. Stop dodging in. Stop spot dodging. I'm like, this was a lot of information at once, and it was kind of hard to take in. But when you play with someone consistently, you eventually like start absorbing it. And like at the time, I think I was having maybe the most fun I was having in Brawlhalla at the time, because it was just like, it was a fresh game. I was playing with my friends like every day. My friend, whose name is Hector, he played Jiro, and he had been playing the game already far longer than anyone else in my friend group. All right, he was plat, and we were all like silver, and he just body us, and my whole goal was like beating him. And so I'd practice and practice and practice to try to beat his Jiro, and it was fun. It was fun to me. I'd swap mains. I'd do a bunch of stuff, and we'd like play twos. He was the first person I played in a tournament with, and I think that I definitely probably would have stopped playing the game if it wasn't for Simba and getting coached by him and understanding that it takes time to like get better at this game, as with any game, to compete at a really high level. And even just to like compete with people in general. It's an online game. It's like hard. That's how things go. So Simba, to this day, like now, like I went from not like silver, like he 3-stock me every game, like not take any damage, so I can actually beat the dude. And he's a cool friend. I'd consider him a friend. And we've known each other for a few years. So yeah, Simba, really cool. I think he does coaching now. Let me check here on Metafy. Yep, he does coaching. And he does it $15 an hour. He used to have this pack. It was called like the Sword Player Pack, and it was just a bunch of stuff on Sword. I don't know if he does it anymore, but that's what he used to do. And he's just a really cool player. Still plays the game. All right, Ethan. So when I got coaching from Ethan, I was 1900 to 2100. I remember getting coaching from Ethan because I was watching a bunch of his sets, and he was always like top 80. Like, this guy's really good at the game, and I needed something different. I knew Ethan as most people understood him as someone who's really passionate about the game. I think we can say that. But also like it'd make him get mad, and so somebody who like gets mad at the game is not necessarily a bad attribute to have. And I think like the 1900 me was like, okay, I gotta get the coaching by this dude. I want to see what it's all about, right? And I think it's $25 an hour, maybe now, or maybe it's more. But I think I got 2 sessions like right in a row, so I'll put the 2x. And Ethan, all right, it was brutal. All right, 1900 me was not prepared for this. I'd start the session, and we did a bunch of replays reviews. Cause I remember it was vile. We did replay reviews, and he'd essentially berate me for 2 hours. Imagine getting coached by low tier god. All right, if you know who that is. But he'd berate me on all that stuff. All right, I'd like lock in, and like I'll do a replay. He's like, see, what the fuck is this shit? All right, you're playing like a bitch. All right, what the fuck are you doing on the other side of the map? All right, and what the hell are you hitting? You're hitting your demons, bro? Like, well, there's nobody there, all right? This is some garbage-ass playing. And so I was not ready for that. And I think at the time, I was like, okay, this is what I needed. All right, this is what I needed to do to improve. I didn't understand that you can't really sugarcoat everything, right? Because I think this was either after Pierre or before Pierre. But in any case, I was like getting berated by Ethan. All right, he called all my shit out. Anytime I did something wrong, he's like, "This bullshit right here, you can't be doing this. All right, you are garbage. All right, garbage. How do you not see that this is the correct option? All right, he's right in front of you. He's right in front of you. Like, how do you not get that?" And I was like, all right. I have to like, I gotta impress this guy. It's essentially what I thought in my head, and it made me really like change how I played. Um, I was playing super aggressive now. I was playing so aggressive because I'm like, I don't want to be called a bitch. All right, who the fuck wants to be called a bitch? All right, who wants to be called their play style like some stupid shit? I'm like, I gotta lock in. I gotta push. All right, every engagement because he also said if you're not pushing engagements, how the fuck are you gonna learn? All right, if you keep playing like a pussy, how the fuck are you gonna learn? And it clicked with me. I'm like, okay, this makes a lot of sense, and it was true because at the time I was playing so passive, because Simba essentially showed me how to play passive. I was like, he was like, playing passive is not a bad thing in this game, and it's not. I learned that. I learned that now, but it's like different. It's not that you're necessarily playing passive. It's that you're just not running into situations. But Ethan's whole way of playing, I like completely shifted my years, and I think I ended up benefiting from it overall because you learn a bunch of stuff when you like run in headfirst into engagements. Obviously, eventually I switched up my play style not to straight run into engagements because you can only do that up until like 2100 before you just get screwed over by somebody who just learns how to wait. But yeah, Ethan, top tier coach. All right, would very much recommend him. I think he's hilarious. All right, and he's such a cool player. Definitely a cool player. All right, who else gets tilted at Brawlhalla and then goes in untilt in League? All right, top tier. And also, he just straight up answered my questions after the coaching session was done, which was cool. I'm gonna drink more water now. It's a lot of talking. God damn. All right, Pierre. Pierre, I can't remember if I got his coaching session once or twice. But at the time, I think Pierre had I'm trying to remember why I got him. I think it was because his coaching was like the cheapest on Costelix's Brawl shops, which may not even be a thing anymore. Oh, is it here? No, it's not this. It's just Costelix.com now, but it used to be called Brawl Shops, and he was the cheapest coach. I don't even think it was $25. That's a lie. It was probably like $10. But I got in his coaching because he was the cheapest one, and he also had the best placements for being the cheapest one. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this guy. And I ended up learning quite a bit from Pierre. I think Pierre is definitely a solid player at this game. I mean, even till today, he still beats my ass whenever I queue him. I can beat him most of the time. I think our record is now is like 50-50, unless he decides to go GOAT mode on like some ult account and just beat me because he's just trying harder than anyone else. But Pierre, what did I take away from him? I think he just showed me how to read people. I'm not gonna lie. I was in a mix at this time. I wasn't playing cross. Right, I have to also say that for Ethan, he's the one that showed me how to play cross. He basically told me stick to one main and don't drop that main. All right, there's no point in dropping your main because you're the problem. All right, the character's not the problem. You're just ass. All right, you can win with the character. If you're losing, it's because you're just bad at the game. And I think that really resonated with me, and I just didn't drop cross after that. But at the time with Pierre, I was like mixed matching. I was playing Morix, I was playing Diana, I was playing a bunch of characters. And I was like, okay, I have to do something about this. And I just didn't understand how to read on Scythe. So he just showed me how to read. I think the whole coaching session was just him showing me how to read people. And how to do reads correctly, and I think that was pretty much it. At the time, again, this was like a little bit after Simba coaching, maybe before Ethan coaching. It probably was because it was cheaper, but I was probably like 1700 at the time. I was not very high elo. 1700, making my way towards diamond, and yeah. All right, last person on the list, and for reasons I left them last, Java, who unironically has the most expensive coaching here, and was probably the coach I had the least likeness towards. Java's a great player, and he was getting lots of placements, which is why I got him as a coach. But he was, oh my lord, his coaching was so expensive. It was $100. And I'm like, is this even worth it? And I DM'd him. And he's like, bro, if you want to be the best Brawlhalla player you could ever be, all right, you got to get my coaching. And I'm like, sounds like a deal. Just got coerced into getting it. But Java, he showed me how to play more guns. This was when I was learning guns. And being completely, just trying to stay on track. Basically, he showed me how to play guns, how to flow chart people, because at the time that's what he was doing with Hammer. And this is where I got in my head that I had to flow chart everyone, which eventually I dropped after a while. But he was like, guns, you have to hit a Sare, all right? You got to watch what they're going, and then you got to follow up, all right, every time. And then you just keep building off follow-ups, and you keep doing that. And you want to ambush your opponent with moves. And he was another player who he showed me a bunch of he showed me like clips of what he was essentially talking about on YouTube. Like he'd go and like show me, because he used to play Knicks. He'd go into like a YouTube search, and he'll just search up like his set versus like someone, and he's on Knicks. And he's like, see, I hit him here, and then I follow up, and then I follow up again, and I just keep following him, or I keep tracing him, and I didn't know what tracing was at the time. So he showed me that, and for that he was a really good coach. Basically he showed me the bulk of that during the entirety of the coaching, the 2-hour session. And really the issues only arrived in the post. So after I got in his coaching, he added me, and I don't know if it was this or something else, but prior to me getting his coaching, I was like some 2200, right? 2200, 2300, maybe 24, and I beat him in experimental, and I screenshot him and I posted it, because that's what you do when you're 2200 and you're dumb and you want to like flex on people. Oh, I beat him in experimental. All right, I'm this good at the game. And obviously it was some stupid shit, right? But he basically asked me like, yo, why you screenshot me? I'm like, cause I'm 2200. I didn't know any better. And that was whatever. Then he went and added me after the coaching session was done, and I asked him. I think it was like I asked him one question, and he answered that. But I remember watching him. He was sparring Costlix. So I'm like, oh, it's kind of weird that Costlix is like getting coaching mid set. He was like, what? Who the fuck are you? Is like he was like, who the fuck are you? And just he blocked me. He blocked me from Discord, and he blocked me from Steam, and just cut off all communication with me entirely. I felt like maybe this is some entitled ass mentality, but like if you spend $100 on someone's coaching, I'd at least hope that I'd get to at least get to ask them questions after the coaching and not be blocked. And I went, tried to DM him on Discord, you were blocked. I tried to add him, you were blocked. I tried to message him in servers he was in, he just wouldn't reply. And so it was like the worst experience ever, because when I spend all this money, and I'm like, okay, I can actually learn from this player, and he just has me blocked because some stupid like ego thing or whatever reason he had. And I'm like, it was such a negative experience. I mean, even to this day, I don't have him added. He like doesn't have me added. He still has me blocked. On Discord, he unblocked me, I guess, so I wouldn't complain about him, but he won't reply to me, right? He won't reply to my messages, because I DM'd him like once, like 3 months ago, or like maybe 4 months ago at this time, and I asked him to spar, and he just didn't acknowledge me at all. But I mean, I have no problem with the dude. I just think it's kind of fucked up that you just straight up block someone after you get their coaching and they pay you and everything. And like I was like one of the first people to actually get his coaching, because it was so damn expensive and nobody got it. And I'm going on a bit of a rant here, but I was really pissed off. I'm like this makes no sense. Literally all the other people on this list, I'd say I'm good friends with. Maybe like besides Impala, because I got him so recently. But even Impala, I had like sparred like a bunch and queued into him a bunch. But it was just like so dumb to me that someone would block you over something petty, especially after you're like, oh, my bad. Like I guess like people just hold grudges. In any case, I really can't comment on the post experience for Java, because he had me blocked, so I really can't comment on anything about that. It might seem like I'm projecting here, but like really, it's like that's like some stupid ass shit. And I don't think anyone should do that. Even me. I mean, I've coached people in the past when like before, And even I give them advice like post coaching. I do it for free. I don't have a problem with people, but yeah, I think even to this day, Java just doesn't like me. I don't know. I just don't screenshot people, bruh. Don't screenshot people at 2200, even if you beat them. I don't care if someone screenshots me, but apparently people just have egos towards that. That's also the reason why I ended up choosing Godly's coaching over Luna's, because Java and Luna are like best friends. I'm like, this shit is gonna happen again. I don't want to spend all this money on Luna coaching just for him to block me after, right? But I think Luna's cool. I don't have a problem with him. I don't have a problem with Java either. That's just messed up. And I think that wraps it up. I don't know if I'd recommend Java's coaching when it's super overpriced, especially because Impala taught me basically more. But when it's overpriced, 2, Godly has better coaching, so does Impala. And 3, at the end of the day, I ended up getting blocked, so I really can't talk about the post-coaching experience when there was none. And yeah, I think that wraps up everything, all my coaching that I got in. I recommend, again, all of these, minus probably Java, because, like what I explained. Out of all of these that I would recommend, like super recommend, Godly and Wrenched for certain. And Wrenched especially. Wrenched is such a cool person, but and so is Godly. But Wrenched is just a chill dude. Like you really don't get that much. Else like in the Brawlhalla community, and he'll play with you after, which not too many people do, and Godly will too. But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I thought I'd do this at 3:23 a.m. because I have nothing better to do. And yeah, see ya.